Hi, and thanks for joining us. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon is facing charges of federal civil rights violations in connection with an anti-ICE protest at a Minnesota church earlier this month. The Justice Department has accused him of interfering with the First Amendment rights of churchgoers. Lemon says he was at the demonstration exercising his own First Amendment rights as a journalist. At least 3 others were also arrested. This goes back to January 18th when anti-ICE protesters interrupted services at the city's church in St. Paul. The pastor of the church also serves as an immigration and customs enforcement official. A judge rejected previous attempts to charge Lemon last week. The Justice Department tried again this week, convening a grand jury Thursday. Attorney General Pam Bondi posted on social media after the announcement of Lemon's arrest.
Make no mistake, under President Trump's leadership and this administration, you have the right to worship freely and safely. And if I haven't been clear already, if you violate that sacred right, we are coming after you.
CBS News reporter Andres Gutierrez joins us now from Los Angeles. Can you walk us back a bit about how we got here and what the Justice Department is accusing Lemon of?
Well, Lindsay, you have to start back on January 18th on that Sunday service at the city's church in St. Paul, Minnesota, that turned into a protest over immigration. The service was interrupted. The scene there turned loud and confrontational. Don Lemon says that he was there to report. The government says that he was part of a coordinated disruption. Now, before Lemon was arrested, a federal judge in Minnesota refused to approve an arrest warrant, saying that federal prosecutors had not shown enough evidence to justify an arrest. That same judge also noted that Lemon and his producer were being treated as protesters without proof that they had done anything illegal. Prosecutors ended up appealing, but the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals did not change the ruling. So prosecutors went around that to a grand jury, and after that arrest, the Attorney General Pam Bondi spoke out saying that this case is about protecting the right to worship and not about silencing the press.
Another independent journalist, Georgia Fort, was also arrested but released earlier. Why was she released, and have we heard from her?
Yeah, Georgia Fort was released after a judge determined that she did not need to remain in custody as the case moves forward. The court found that she was not a flight risk and did not pose a danger, clearing the way for her release under standard conditions. After walking out, Fort was very emotional, as you can imagine, saying that the experience was terrifying and exhausting, but that she stands by her innocence. She also believes that this case will ultimately collapse and ended up thanking family, friends, and supporters who have been by her side.
What have we heard from Lemon and his lawyers?
Well, Lemon and his legal team insist that he is being targeted for his job as a journalist. His attorney calls the case an unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and, quote, a transparent attempt to silence a journalist for doing his job, stressing that Lemon has spent the last 3 decades in journalism and that his conduct at the church was routine news gathering protected by the Constitution. Lemon himself has said that he had no role in organizing the protest, that he was not part of the group that disrupted the service, and that he was simply documenting a newsworthy event involving immigration policy and law enforcement. Their message in court filings and in public statements is that if this kind of reporting can be criminalized, it can send a chilling signal to newsrooms everywhere.
Andres Gutierrez, thank you. CBS News Department of Justice reporter Jake Rosen joins me now. Jake, a judge had rejected bringing charges against Lemon. So how did we get here?
Well, Lindsay, we got here because there was this kind of back and forth between Lemon and these protesters, and this judge found that the Department of Justice simply had just not done enough in this case to warrant just a simple magistrate judge signing off on these arrest warrants. There was an appeal over the weekend, and 3 federal judges in Minnesota had denied that, saying that the Department of Justice had not convened a grand jury and had not tried all legal avenues. What we do know, according to CBS News sources, was that the Department of Justice did convene a grand jury yesterday in the state, and that's how this indictment came down today. It has not yet been unsealed, but we're expecting it to be after Lemon's initial appearance in any matter of moments.
Okay, and we did just learn that he was granted bond, so more to come on that. We also learned today the FBI is now in charge of the investigation into Alex Preddy's death in Minnesota. What happened? What changed?
Well, there was a press conference with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche where he kind of backtracked on what we had been reporting here at CBS News previously, which is that there had been no civil rights investigation into the situation on Saturday, the tragic situation in which Alex Preddy was shot and killed. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche downplayed the scope of this investigation, and he said that it was in its preliminary stages. He did not want to get ahead of it, refused to comment on details. But what this does do, Lindsay, is potentially opens the door for the Justice Department to potentially bring charges against those officers that are accused of not just detaining Preddy, but then later shooting him. As we know, 2 officers fired their guns in that incident, according to our CBS News analysis and law enforcement officials.
Okay, Jake Rosen, thank you.